All right. Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Draft Talk. This is episode 3 out of I don't know how many. Absolutely no clue how many we're going to do, but we're going to do a bunch. And if you're new, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. And Draft Talk is a series. I'm pretty sure you already know what it is if you've watched it. But for those of you who haven't, we go through the players who have been drafted by every single team through the first and to the fourth round. So all players in the first, second, third, and fourth round will be talked about. We won't do fifth, sixth, and seventh round picks just because they take up way too much time and it's just useless for us. So far, we have covered many teams, the Coyotes, the Bruins, the Flames, the Hurricanes, just to name a few. And today we will be talking about 3 teams that have very polarizing players attached to their clubs. We'll be talking about the Chicago Blackhawks. We will be talking about the Colorado Avalanche, and we will be talking about the Columbus Blue Jackets. As usual, I will be recording the stats and I will borrow a few quotes from eliteprospects.com. If you haven't checked that site out, check it out right now. It is great. I use it almost every single day to find my information. And we'll be talking about a lot of players. I will be talking about their stats. Max will be talking about their future and their potential as to where they can be in a lineup with the club that they were drafted by. So starting off with the Chicago Blackhawks, 17th overall from Nuremberg, Germany, the Blackhawks select Lukas Reichel. And I really like this player. He's an 18-year-old. He's German, and he's 6'0" and 172 pounds. So he's like average, to be honest. He tore it up in U16s in the 2017-2018 season. In 23 games, this guy had 47 goals, 39 assists for 86 points in 23 games. And then when he was promoted to the U19 team, he had 29 points in 18 games. So he was phenomenal all throughout his whole time. He played for U16 in Germany, just in international tournaments, for 16 points in 13 games. And he has progressed to playing in the DEL, which is the German top league. With Eisbären Berlin of the DEL this season, in 42 games, he has 12 goals, 12 assists for 24 points. Now, it's not above a point a game, so when you look at the raw numbers, it doesn't look appealing to the eye, but there is a motive to this because the DEL is a men's league, and it's really hard for a teenager to make it into the DEL, and he's producing at a fine rate. If he continues this, he'll be great, and he was shown this in the DEL this year. In 3 games, he has 1 assist and 0 goals. So he's on track to have a better than average season in the DEL, and I think he's going to be great. A quote from Elite Prospects is, "He's an unrelenting forechecker and backchecker, never gives up on a play, and wins battles through second efforts. Reichel is a pretty capable puck handler too, even at top speed, carrying the puck through a defender's triangle, showing a predilection for outside-in maneuvers, and deploying weight shifts to avoid contact." So that's all I have to say about this polarizing player. So, Max, what do you think about him?
Yeah, I definitely agree with what you said. He's playing in a men's league, and I don't think you get a better transition from another country to the NHL than the DEL because you're playing with men, and there's no better competition than that. So he's not the biggest, he's not the strongest, but he's smart. He's talented, great skater, and he can shoot the puck. He reminds me of Elias Pettersson in Vancouver. Pretty much, he's also not the strongest guy in the ice, but he's smart. He knows what to do with the puck. They're both impact players. So for Reichel, I think he's going to be a skilled player once he gets into the Blackhawks lineup, which he will. He's got a great hockey IQ, and in terms of potential, he's definitely a top six without a doubt. He's not getting much. He's not getting better development than where he is right now, and he's in a great situation playing for Chicago. And I can't wait to see him in the future.
Yeah, I also like him too. The Blackhawks definitely like him. I remember watching this draft. They had a boy who won this charity type award. Correct me if I'm wrong. But he was teaching young kids how to box, and the Blackhawks took notice of this and let him do the draft. Let him do the selection for the Blackhawks. So I remember this pick clear in my mind. Moving on, the next pick that the Blackhawks had was 46th overall, and they took it on a goalie, Drew Commesso. He's from Norwell, Massachusetts, and he's 6'2" and 181 pounds. So he's pretty average, and he catches left, which I really like because the majority of goalies should be catching left and do catch left. A quote is, he posted some of the best numbers we've seen in the USNDP in a while. Commesso plays a more aggressive game inherently, but he does a great job staying on top of plays and reading through traffic. He rarely gets caught moving across the crease, owning every inch of space with confidence. He skates at a higher level than most of his fellow draft eligibles. And it's proven because in this past season, so 2019-2020, in the USDP, in 27 games, he had a 2.05 goals against average and a 920 save percentage, which is great. His record was 18-7-0, which is phenomenal. And then when he played in the USHL in 11 games, he had a 2.01 goals against average. If you round down, that's 2 goals against every single game, which is extremely good, and a 917 save percentage, which is above average. Anything above 920, people consider as great, but between 915 and 920 is above average. And this current, if you can call it current season, Drew is playing at Boston University, although he's not actually playing games because of, COVID, that stuff. So I really like this player. I think he can be the replacement for Cord Crawford in a few years. We recently just left in free agency, and the Blackhawks don't really have any other goalies in their system. They have Malcolm Subban, but that's about it. So drafting this guy, and he's really good. So drafting this really good guy is it could potentially be the steal for the Blackhawks. Max, what do you think?
Yeah, you said it all. This is the only good pick that they probably could have had in the second round, picking him. He reminds me of Carey Price on so many levels. Very calm and efficient. When you look at Carey Price, he's not the guy in his crease scrambling around trying to make saves. And I mean, of course, Carey Price is Carey Price. He has these highlight reel saves. But Commesso really reminds me of him, of Price, because he's calm and great hockey IQ. And he's better than all the other goalies because he's good at everything. He's more talented than most at puck handling, and he's got a better glove, better blocker than most other goalies. He's not only good at everything, he's great at everything, and that's a great pick for Chicago. As you said, all they have is really Subban in their prospects for goalies. So I think this is a really, really good pick for them. But he's going to college for Boston University. It's going to be fun to see him there. And I really like this pick. I can't think of a better pick for them.
Yeah, and I believe he was the second goalie picked in the draft after Yaroslav Askarov. And so if you're picked as a goalie in the first or second round, you have to be extremely good because the fourth round is typically where they pick where teams pick goalies. And we'll see that, and this is a really common thing, and we'll see that for many other teams. But not the Blackhawks. They need a goalie right away, so they went with this guy. This next player, also from the USNDP, from South Bend, Indiana, Landon Slaggart, 79th overall. He's 6'0" and 181 pounds, and he shoots left, and he's a forward. This past season, in USNDP games in 47 games, 13 goals, 11 assists for 24 points. And in the USHL with the same USNDP, 19 games played, 6 goals, 4 assists for 10 points. This current season, he's actually playing games. He's at Notre Dame in the NCAA, 3 points, 1 goal, 2 assists in 6 games. And he is at the World Juniors this season. So, but he has 0 points in 3 games. So he's a really compelling player. I'm not sure why Chicago picked this. But here we go with a quote. And Slager played like a bulldozer in this game. He threw heavy hits, outmuscled opponents along the boards, and seemingly always wanted to play the body to win the puck. He could outwork opponents in the slot as well. Showed some good speed and decent acceleration. Strong physically, dominates in board battles and in corners. So he's very physical, and we see this with his penalty minutes. In the USDP games, he had 32 penalty minutes in the 47 games, and in the USHL, 14 penalty minutes in 19 games. So he plays with a rough edge, but that's something that the Blackhawks need. They don't have that many players that are physical, to be honest. They have Duncan Keith and Brent Seabrook, but who knows if they're going to stick around for a while. And that's basically it. They don't really have anyone else. So getting him, I understand why they got him. I just don't agree with it. If you can, if you can see that. So Max, what do you think about this pick?
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting pick. I think there's bigger needs in Chicago than a physical player, but he's got 3 big pros, which are better than most prospects. Number 1 is his 200-foot game. He's everywhere on the ice. He's in defensive zone, offensive zone. He does everything well. Number 2 is his skating. Great skater. He's almost always the first man back. He's really great at pretty much everything in terms of skating. And 3rd is not a common one, but he's a great teammate. There's so many of his teammates that have said great things about him, his coaches too. He's the guy that everybody likes. And, it doesn't seem like a big thing, but you want a guy in the locker room that brings everybody up. And he has it. He has it. And I'm glad to see that they picked him for a couple of reasons, like I just mentioned. But I feel like there were other needs that they could have picked, but it's not the worst pick possible.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the worst pick possible. And you can say that about a lot of players, and the one that we're just going to talk about in a moment. There were probably better picks for offense or defense or goaltending wise, but I understand why they picked him. It's because he plays with a physical edge. And this is a great transition to our next player, Wyatt Kaiser, out of Andover of Minnesota High School. Now, I am strictly against picking people in the 3rd round and anything in the 3rd, 4th, or 5th round from high school. They go in 6th or 7th. That's where I believe they belong. But this guy looks like he can be a player. He's 6 foot and 172 pounds. A quote is, Kaiser's speed, edge work, and ability to maneuver in tight spaces offer him a great deal of escapability under pressure. He's one of the rare defenders in this year's draft that can make forecheckers look like they're skating in quicksand. Has a sophisticated understanding of bank passes. He uses angles expertly. So he looks like he can play a good 200-foot game. And we see that in his point production. With the Andover Huskies, that's the high school that he went to, in 2018-19, he had 29 points in 25 games, 9 goals, 20 assists, and 28 penalty minutes. Keep the penalty minutes in mind. He's above a penalty minute a game, which means that he plays with a very physical edge. And I really like that about him. I can't emphasize how much I like that the Blackhawks are drafting a physical defenseman because there aren't that many. So many defensemen, like, for example, the Leafs, Cody Ceci, he's big for nothing. When you're big, you can throw your body around, but Cody Ceci didn't. This guy throws his body around, and we see that with the amount of penalties he takes. And this past season, as a captain of the Andover Huskies, he had 34 points in 25 games, 9 goals, 25 assists, and 26 penalty minutes. So his penalty minute production is just fine. And he was offered to go play in the USHL. He played 11 games and got 0 goals and 3 assists with the Dubuque Fighting Saints of the USHL, and he had 6 penalty minutes. And this season, he's playing at the University of Minnesota Duluth, which is a perfectly fine program. In 9 games, he has 0 goals and 4 assists for 4 points and 12 penalty minutes, so he's still very physical. I like this pick, even though I don't like that he played in high school, but he has been playing some USHL games, so you can make a case that he's a USHL player instead of a high school player. I don't care. I'll consider him a USHL player just because he puts up points in the USHL. I like this pick. I think he can pan out as a okay defenseman. And speaking of panning out, Max, what do you think about him?
Yeah, he's a great skater. Everything I see really emphasizes that he's a great skater, moves the puck fast. He reminds me of Torrey Krug, a little bit shorter. He's a little bit taller than Torrey Krug, but Torrey Krug's, again, a great skater, and he can move the puck well. But his weakness is definitely his offensive side of the game. He's not known for, pitching into the offensive zone like someone like Subban would do. He's more on the blue line, moving the puck around, and I wish he had a little bit more confidence in his shot. But he has a future. He could have a future on the power play and penalty kill if he was a little bit more confident with the puck and his shot. But again, as you said, high school isn't the best in terms of development for a 18-year-old, but the coaches are very, very, very high on him. They really think he has a great future. I can see him coming to the NHL maybe as a bottom pair, or a top pair in the AHL. But for a pick like this, it's not terrible.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. And yeah, I think he's gonna pan out great. Our next person that has been drafted by the Chicago Blackhawks, the last person that we will be talking about that has been drafted from the Chicago Blackhawks in the 4th round, 110th overall, Mikhail Krutil out of Prague in the Czech Republic. He's a right shot D, which is really exciting, and he's 6'3" and 203 pounds, so he's tall. A quote is, Krutil was the Czechs' most notable defenseman and among the best players on the ice. He's effective at moving the puck with a man advantage and displays some creative stick handling. He can stay calm under pressure and find solutions even when he had little time on his hands. He doesn't hesitate to use his body to protect the puck. And his point production, not that great, but he's a defenseman. So I'm not really concerned about that. He played 1 game with Sparta Praha of the Czech U20 team and then got loaned to the 2nd Czech league, where he has 1 goal and 0 assists in 4 games for HC Stadion Litoměřice. Sure. And he's not playing that many games, which is fine because he's at the World Juniors, and in 3 games he has 0 points. But he's playing for the Czech Republic, and they're not very good, apart from the fact that they completely shocked the world by shutting out Russia, which was very fun for me to watch. But last year, with the U20 team, HC Sparta Praha, in the DHL Cup, in 19 games, he had 5 points, which is a perfectly fine scoring rate for a defenseman. And then, again, he played 1 game for HC Sparta Praha in the real Czech league, like the men's Czech league. And then he got loaned to Stadion Litoměřice, where he played 8 games and got 1 assist. So from this, it not really eye-catching, but he can be a great defenseman, at least in depth. He's not gonna be like the next Erik Karlsson or a Drew Doughty or something like that. No, I think he can turn out fine, but it's only up to whether we see his defensive production, because I don't think he produces offensively at all. I think it's all in the defensive zone, and I think that's what sets him apart from other people. So, Max, what do you think?
All right, I haven't hated on a pick yet, but this is it. I hate this pick. He's number 1. He's a very big liability. He already had a broken knee and a broken wrist. So you're taking a risk on a guy who has a history of injuries, number one. Number two, he said his strengths are his quick passes and his offensive zone play. If he thinks that his strengths are his offensive zone playing time, and he only put up 5 points in 19 games, then he's really got to step it up because we're not seeing what he's capable of. And third is he's a little bit delayed with his decisions when he makes a play, or it's like almost like you're watching it in slow motion a little bit. He's got to be quicker if he wants to play in the NHL. And I don't think he's going to play in the NHL. I don't like this pick at all. I hate it.
I mean, you haven't hated on a pick in this episode, and you didn't really hate on a pick in the last episode, but you went ham on Mason Lohrei in the first episode when you were talking about the Boston Bruins. So, yeah, this is like your second time hating on a pick, but yeah, I don't really like this, and that's a poor way to end the Chicago Blackhawks section of this video. But we will now be talking about the Colorado Avalanche, and there were two players that were picked in the first, second, third, or fourth round, and they were picked 25th overall and at 75th. So we'll talk about the 25th pick first. Justin Barron from Halifax, Nova Scotia in Canada. He is 6'2" and 194 pounds, and he's a right shot D. The point production doesn't say it all, but in 2019-2020, with the Halifax Mooseheads of the QMJHL, in 34 games, 4 goals, 15 assists for 19 points. And the Halifax Mooseheads aren't very good because his plus-minus was a -19. But his point production was fine on a bad team. And this year, his point production is going up. In 8 games, as the captain of the Mooseheads this year, and he has 7 points. So 1 goal and 6 assists in 8 games. And just backtracking a lot, in 2018-2019, with the Halifax Mooseheads again, the Halifax Mooseheads were stacked, or at least his line was, because he had a plus 42, which is insane. In 68 games, he had 9 goals, 32 assists for 41 points, which is great. So I believe that he can be phenomenal in the NHL. He's playing at the World Juniors right now. In 3 games, he has 2 assists and 0 goals, so I like him. And a quote is, Barron produces points in 2 ways, through the rush and with a shot from the blue line. He loves to transport the puck up ice, accelerating away from forecheckers while switching from one skating lane to the next. When he breaks in the offensive zone, he looks to cut to the slot or drop a pass to a teammate. So I like this player, and I really like the Colorado Avalanche's future. They have Bowen Byram. They have Cale Makar. They can truly be a disgusting team in this league, defensively and offensively, for many years to come. I think they're working on a dynasty right here. Max, what do you think?
You said it. They hit a home run with this pick. There's no better pick I think they could have taken, and I think he's going to be a steal in the future. I think he could have gone in the teens for sure. But for him to go at 26, this is a huge win for Colorado. Not to mention they already have great prospects in their organization. He's a well-rounded defenseman, great two-way game, and I always see him on the score sheet when you look at the after game shows and stuff. But he's great. He's a great player. The only concern for him is he had a blood clot during the COVID shutdown. But before the injury, he was projected a early pick on 15th overall. He was before the injury, but because of the injury, he had to sit out a few games. But I think he has the same upsides as a guy like Jamie Drysdale, and he's the top drafted defenseman. And I think this is a great pick for Colorado. There's no better pick they could have taken. Great job, Colorado.
Yeah, I mean, you have to praise Joe Sakic. Like, he's done amazing work. They were in the gutter 2016, 2017. I remember when I just got NHL 17, I would always play against the Avalanche because they were easy to beat. And one time I remember beating them 13-0, which was mean. And now I don't feel like playing them. I honestly don't feel like playing them. They're a complete team. And this next pick reinforces it. Jean-Luc Foudy out of Scarborough, Ontario. He's 5'11" and 176, and he's a center who shoots right. He was picked 75th overall in the third round. And the quote is, "It's not often that the clear-cut best skater in the draft finds themselves barely clinging to the second round, but that happens to be the case for Foudy. Once he gets to top speed, he effortlessly maintains it. Oh, geez. Leading it to drawn penalties or high danger scoring chances. He's elusive as a puck carrier and can operate in confined spaces with relative ease. And he played with the Windsor Spitfires of the OHL this past season in 59 games, 15 goals, 28 assists for 43 points. So the point production isn't exactly there, but you're not going to find everyone like that in the third round. But what they say is his skating is amazing. And he's one of the few North American players actually playing games this year. He's playing in the Hockey Etan. That's the Swedish, I believe, either second or third league. And in 7 games, he has 1 goal and 0 assists. So that's not saying much, but I think he can do perfectly fine with the Avs. Like he said, the skating is amazing, like Elite Prospect said, sorry. And I believe he can, with his skating, he can project to be sort of like a Nathan MacKinnon type. Like fast, I doubt he's going to have like the offensive prowess like MacKinnon has, but his skating is definitely MacKinnon-esque. So, Max, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm surprised he was still available at 75th overall. I mean, usually when you're drafting a player, you look at your needs and what you need, like in terms of, prospects. But this was kind of like, I'm just going to pick the best player in the draft because he could have gone in the 60s or 50s for sure. But he's touted as actually one of the best skaters in the draft. It's definitely an important quality to have, even more over size and grit. But he's one of the best at it in terms of skating. He's an average size player, but he's great. He did pretty well with the Spitfires, and he's not going to even turn 19 until May. But if he continues working on his speed, I think he could be a effective NHLer one day.
Yeah, I agree with you. And although the Avs didn't really have that many picks this year, the 2 that were in the top 4 rounds, they struck it rich, honestly. I have to say, like potential steals. We will be switching over to the Columbus Blue Jackets, where they selected 21st overall, a person who, when they were selected, everyone was just looking through their notes, like racing through the back pages of like page 500 or something, trying to find this guy because they had him at over 100. Yegor Chinnikov was picked 21st overall. He's a 6-foot right winger. He shoots left and he's 179 pounds. And he's from Omsk, Russia. And his youth team was, oh boy, I'm not even going to pronounce it, but he played in Omsk, Russia. And he's playing in the KHL this year. And he's honestly not as off the board as you might think. He has 15 points in 27 KHL games. And the KHL is, in my opinion, the second best league in the world behind the NHL. People think it's the AHL, but I think it's the KHL because they have so many good players. And to have this production as a teenager, it's really good. He's playing in the World Juniors right now, and he has 1 goal in 3 games, which is perfectly fine in the World Juniors. And last season in the MHL, that's Russia Juniors, he played for Omsky Yatrebsky, and he was the assistant captain. He had 69 points, nice, in 56 games. That's 27 goals and 42 assists. And he played in the VHL last season also with Iskal Istevsk. Sure. And he had 3 points in 2 games. That's 2 goals and 1 assist. So he's playing amazing hockey, and it could be fine. I don't think he's that off the board as many people think, and I think he could actually be okay. A quote is, Chernikov's offense impact is impressive. He moves the puck quickly, supports the play well, and seems very aware of his options. His puck skills are high end. He makes the body fakes and quick cuts to force defenders to move their feet and open space. He consistently reads opposing breakdowns to intercept pucks. So it's very good. He looks like a very good player, and I think he can be a clear-cut potential steal, honestly, for the Blue Jackets. Max, what do you think?
I'm not amazed with this pick. I think there were a couple of better options for them, but it's a decent pick, and he's got the offensive skill to be a top six forward, but his all around game definitely needs some work. He's a great playmaker, but he needs to be work on his two-way game a little bit. He'll probably be a third liner when he breaks into the NHL, but he's really got to show that to make the NHL lineup. But this is not a guy you can really count on back checking. He's a guy that you can count on to produce offensively, and we'll probably see that if or when he breaks the NHL. But he's really got to get to that level first, where he's just as good on his two-way game than he is on his forward game. He wins battles for the stick work and positioning, and he could definitely improve on his edge work. But he's a pretty good player, and his consistency is shift after shift. You could depend on this guy. He's not going to put up 20 points one season, 60 points the next season. He's going to consistently put up a good amount of points, and he's a player you could rely on. And I like this pick, and I don't like this pick at the same time.
Yeah, I feel you. It was kind of like the thing with Wyatt Kaiser, where it's like I like it, but at the same time I don't like it. And this next pick, out of Slovenia, honestly, that's a country that hockey players are from now. So I've heard now. Samuel Knazko. Sorry, he's from Slovakia. They the same flag almost. He's a left shot D, 6'1", 190 pounds, and he was picked 78th overall by the Columbus Blue Jackets. A quote is, Knazko's passing skills are refined for a defenseman. He can find players in the seam and on the breakout with great accuracy. He's comfortable with making plays from his backhand and makes sharp passes with good power behind them. His mobility stood out. He has the skating ability to be effective defending against the rush and during long cycles. And this past season, he played with the TPS U20, so that's Junior A in the SM Liga. And in the 2019-2020 season, in 48 games, 7 goals, 21 assists for 28 points. So that's a fine pace for defenseman. And this season, he's also playing in the World Juniors for Slovakia. 3 games, although no points, but 14 penalty minutes. He can take a lot of penalty minutes. And in this season, in the U20s again for TPS, he has 13 points in 22 games. So that's 4 goals and 9 assists. And he also has 22 penalty minutes. So his physicality is there. And I like that. And the Blue Jackets need that. And I honestly think that this could be a fine pick for them. It wasn't great. There were probably better guys that they could have taken, but it's passable at very least. So that's all I have to say. Max, what do you think about him?
Yeah, I agree with you. He's definitely a physical player. He's a guy you could count on to throw the body. And Columbus is known as more of a two-way type of a team, where they have great forwards that can play forward and defense, and great defensemen that can play offense and defense. But it's always a great decision to go with a little bit more of a physical player who will stand up for the smaller guys and bring some energy to the team. And this guy definitely has it. And you just a player you can count on. He's going to consistently play physical hockey, and this is pretty much it's a decent pick. There are again better options, more skilled players, but it's always smart to go with a physical player that's consistent.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Consistency is key in hockey. It's not like that in other sports, but in hockey, that's what attracts you to be a big market talent for teams. And the last pick that we're talking about today also played in TPS U20, Mikhail Pihtia, from Turku, Finland. That's TPS's base. Their official name is TPS Turku. And he's a forward, 6 foot, 154 pounds. He's really light, and he shoots left. He was drafted 114th overall in the 4th round by the Columbus Blue Jackets. This season, he has 19 points in 16 games with TPS U20. That's 9 goals and 10 assists. And he got his first stint in Liga, which is the Finnish men's league. And in 2 games, he has 0 points. He is at Finland's World Junior team. And in 3 games, he has 1 goal, 0 assists for 1 point. So that's perfectly fine. I like this pick. He can be great for them. And we saw that in the past season where he got his first stint in Liga with TPS Turku. In 2019-2020 season, he had in 2 games he had 1 assist. But with U20, he had 41 points in 42 games. With TPS U20, 11 goals and 30 assists. So I like this player a lot. And there is no quote about him, which sucks because I could really use one. But he looks like he could be a consistent player, and that's the key that I'm seeing a lot of with teams now. Consistency doesn't matter how many points. It does a little bit, but as long as you're consistent about it and you're not rickety, this is how you build a great team. And I don't think the Columbus Blue Jackets are doing that, but I think they're building a decent enough team with these draft picks. So, Max, what do you think?
Yeah, you hit it. It's a decent pick and overall, but he's a strong skater, plays fast. He competes well off the puck, can kill penalties, and overall brings a lot of energy and speed to all of his shifts. He's overall a smart player, and he finds seams in the offensive zone. Makes plays with pace. One thing I really like about him is you're fine putting him on a bottom line, and he'll take full advantage of it. And for a team like Columbus, who's pretty skilled already, this is a guy who could definitely make a he could definitely make a good impression. So he's not the most biggest standout player, but he's well rounded, and that's what you kind of want in a later pick like this.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on this pick, and honestly, we share a lot of the same beliefs, which is kind of weird. In a way, we like the same players, and we also don't like the same players. And with that, that is it for this video. Click like if you really like this video, and click subscribe if you extremely really like this video, and tell your friends that we're around. Our Matt Coronado video has been blowing up ever since he's been tearing up the USHL. Can we get that video to 200 views by the start of February? I think we can. December has been a great month for us, even though it's not great for the world. And this is our last video before the New Year. This was shot New Year's Eve, actually. So for everyone watching, Happy New Year. Stay safe, and thank you for allowing us to continue this YouTube channel. This past year has been great. We started out from close to nothing, and our videos have become they've become great, interviewing NHL players, AHL players, great junior players, players who are going to be really good in a few years. And that just gives us the joy to spread our knowledge of hockey with the rest of the world. So thanks for watching, and stay safe, guys.